there is an emphasis on these multi-agent architectures and scalable systems. So what does a defender organization of the future look like? I mean, I said two or 300,000, but I don't, how many agents do they need? How do they coordinate? How do they respond
Sure.
in real time?
Yeah.
Because
So
I mentioned a bit about it, but
absolutely. So for me, the defender organization of the future looks quite different from today's security operations center or SOC. So
mhm,
um, we're looking at moving from a purely human operation to what I call multi-agent architecture. And by agents, I mean both human analysts and AI systems working together, but in orchestrated workflows. So, what might that look like practically? So, for example, you've got AI agents that are handling tier one triage, pattern recognition, and also anomaly detection, but at scale. Now, they're often going to be processing thousands and thousands of alerts, filtering out all the noise, but then escalating what they consider to be the real, genuine threats. Then you've got the human experts, because as I mentioned earlier, you must always have the human in the loop with this. And that's your tier two and tier three analysts. And they're doing what we as humans do best. They're looking at contextual reasoning, creative problem solving, and also understanding the business impact. Um, but a critical piece here for me is orchestration because these agents, well, they can't work in silos. You need workflow automations that connects them all. So where an AI detection triggers an automated containment action, which then alerts a human analyst with full context, that
yeah.
analyst can then make a strategic call about response.
So let me just so for an example, for all the
Yeah,
people that have got, huh? What is she
yeah,
talking about?
yeah,
Because we're not a technical kind of
yeah,
channel here, right? So I thought I'd just dig into what that
yeah,
sort of means. Yeah.
yeah.
So that could mean people are changing file permissions
Correct.
at
Yeah,
scale,
absolutely.
or it could mean they are sending lots of emails from a server. It could mean data is being leaked. There are lots of different things, right?
Yeah,
But it's just
yeah,
an anomaly. So it's
yeah,
something that doesn't normally occur
correct.
within the business technology architecture, right?
Yeah,
The AI agent spots it, but it needs to be connected to the remedial AI agent, which will then in turn lock down that particular situation to
yeah,
ensure no more damage is occurring, right?
that's
That's
correct. Yes.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay, cool, cool.
absolutely.
At least I understand it.
Yeah, no, you you got it. And then just touching
Cool.
on, how many agents? Well, that would depend massively on your organization's scale, um,
Right.
but the ratio, I think, will shift quite dramatically. So,
Mhm.
for example, and I will try to put this as, in easy to understand and succinct terms as possible.
Yeah,
So,
you always do. You
for
always do, Lisa. I was just having a bit of fun, to be fair.
don't worry. But for example, instead of say needing 50 human analysts to monitor your environment, you might have then say 10 highly skilled analysts, but supported by 20 different AI agents who are handling different aspects of threat detection, analysis, and response. So, I guess for a bit of an analogy here, your the architecture around your data that becomes your central nervous system, so to speak. And every agent will need access to the right data, but at the right time. So if you treat your security infrastructure as a network of coordinated agents, both
Okay.
human and AI, rather
Yeah.
than isolated tools,
Mhm.
that's when you'll get real defensive capability at machine scale.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, obviously it's going to be suitable for, much larger organizations, but there will be the other options, right, for small,
Yeah,
medium-sized business as well, of course, like there always is.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
being a group builder across technology fields is crucial. In cyber defense, what role does the ecosystem play? Industry sharing, trade associations, alliances,
Yeah.
basically when looking at this.
Absolutely. So, community and ecosystems, wow, they are absolutely critical. And this is something that attackers already understand better than defenders do, because many cyber criminals actually don't work in silos or isolation. They
Okay.
collaborate, they share tools, they'll share trade access, and they'll pool their intelligence. So they've
Hmm.
actually effectively created their own ecosystem. And I've only got to mention the dark web in
Right.
terms of that,
I'd rather
ecosystem.
you didn't mention that on my channel, thanks.
Yeah. But you know what I mean. They've
Yeah,
created
yeah.
their own ecosystem, and the dark web's a big part of that. So
Right,
um,
right,
while many organizations are still trying to defend in isolation, so we'll often build our own capability. We'll keep our intelligence internal. And there's often a lot of competition rather than collaboration.
right,
And for
right.
me, that's a losing strategy because your
Yeah,
adversary is already, well networked in that respect. And you might find that you're not. So building collective intelligence structures. So for me, that's things like industry sharing forums, trade associations, threat intelligence alliances. It's not just a nice to have, it is an absolute strategic imperative.
right, right.
So, for example, where one financial services firm gets hit with a novel, type of cyber attack technique,
Hmm.
every other bank should know about it within, hours and not months.
100%. It
Yeah,
just doesn't make sense. Like, why you would
exactly.
want more people to suffer? Like, it's so
Yep,
selfish. People are just so selfish
yep,
in the way
yep,
that they work, unfortunately.
absolutely. And this is exactly why I've been working on establishing the AI and Cybersecurity Association,
Right,
because
right.
we need that formal structure where organizations can share threat intelligence about AI enabled attacks,
Yeah.
discuss defensive techniques, develop some frameworks and common standards at the intersection of AI and cybersecurity, and collectively, as a group and not in silos and isolation, look at raising that security baseline.
Hmm.
And for me, the only way that defenders can close the gap is to build those critical ecosystems and communities that match or even exceed the adversary's collaboration capability. Threats, intelligence sharing, the rapid, dissemination of the SOC, etc. Joint research on emerging AI and cybersecurity threats. For me, that's how we level the playing field, and that's a big piece of work the AI and Cybersecurity Association is going to be doing.
Yeah, well, it's so highly relevant to the world that we live in now. When you've got loads of drones that can actually become swarms of drones and
Yeah,
fight against targets, right? It's exactly the same. Like there's no real difference. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's scale, but
yeah,
but it's just in the principle of it. That's kind of how I see it.
yeah.
So when the unsung layer in tech operations is called out, what unsung or overlooked layers exist in AI cyber today? And where are the gaps in process data orchestration that attackers exploit?
Absolutely. So for me, it's definitely the operational layer where AI actually meets enterprise reality. And
Okay.
everyone focuses on the AI model itself in terms of asking questions like, is it accurate? What's the false positive rate? What's the hallucination rate? But for me, that's only part of it. And the real question is, how does that AI model integrate with your security operations center workflow? How does it hand off to your analysts? what happens, for example, when it flags, something suspicious at 2 a.m. on a Sunday? How do you retrain it when attack patterns evolve? So for me, that operational layer, the people, the processes, and the workflows around the AI, that's where most implementations fall apart.
Oh
So,
yeah,
and I see, this all the time. Organizations will buy sophisticated AI security tools. They'll deploy them, and then nothing really changes
right,
operationally. The
right.
AI generates alerts, and that drowns out the same, overwhelmed security operations team. There's no
Right.
real workflow redesign, no
Hmm.
processes for handling AI generated insights differently from traditional alerts, and
Yeah.
crucially, no feedback loop to improve the model. And that's where I would
Aha.
like to see some change.
Aha. That's
Yeah.
interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, just talking about the entire AI implementations and how many fail, it's actually it's unbelievable. And unless we get this right, there
Yeah.
is going to basically be the most almighty crash in AI models,
Yeah.
and the market for AI is going to shrink. I mean, when you've got kids who are like basically completely against AI, a whole generation is like, I can't use AI. I'm not allowed to at school, right?
Yeah.
And they're basically terrified it's going to replace them. So you think
Yeah.
about that, right?
Yeah.
Um, it, we're in a place which I've got an interview coming up with Kat Keeley, who I think you might know her,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're talking about a lot to do with AI implementations, and she basically thinks a massive crash is coming, and I think she probably is right. So
Hmm.
look out for that
Yeah.
interview.
Yeah.
It'll be good. If you value the insights on influential visions, you'll be pleased to know that that is just the public version. Inside Monday Influencer, the indispensable weekly guide to success in business, career, life. You get a weekly email, which also has an audio version narrated personally by us. You get early access to uncut interviews, behind the scenes footage and intel. You get critical insights, unlocking AI and technology for your success. You can download cheat sheets, checklists, and many, many audios which will help you to become a better executive and a business person. Your risk is $1.